The 13-year NFL veteran, Jason McCourty, is here from NFL Network. You can watch him every day, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Central Time on Good Morning Football. Also, Jason, you're also on the Vikings versus Bengals call at Paycor Stadium this upcoming Saturday at noon. And being a guy that played with Brian Flores is the talk of the town outside of Nick Mullins right now here in Minnesota. But understanding that you played for Brian Flores, won a Super Bowl with him in his first year as a play caller, just describe who he is and just his leadership style.
Flo's a no-nonsense guy from Brooklyn, New York. As soon as you pull up and you see him, you know exactly what his energy's like. He's a straight shooter. He's going to tell you exactly how it is. But he's also somebody that cares about you. He's a family man, his kids and his wife. I was with him not only in New England winning the Super Bowl, but I was with him for a year in Miami as well. So I know his wife, Jenny, his kids know my kids. So he's that type of coach. I know when my brother was a young player in New England, he would have him over for Thanksgiving. So he's a guy that's going to be hard on you as a player, high expectations, but he's also going to love on you and care about you beyond just the football field.
Man, I love that. And having that defensive-minded coach. Last year, the past 2 years, when it came to defense or run defense, the Vikings haven't been in the top upper echelon. Actually, the bottom two teams the last 2 years. To be a top 5 run defense under Brian Flores in year one, does that surprise you at all with just what he's been able to do in such a short term?
It does, and a lot of it, I remember talking in the offseason, and they signed Byron Murphy and Marcus Davenport, and just a few guys on the defensive side of the ball. Obviously, Ivan Pace has been amazing for them as an undrafted rookie. But what's been so impressive to me is a lot of these guys on the Vikings defense aren't new. You look at Josh Metellus, he's been able to do Harrison Phillips up front, Harrison Smith in the back end. Those guys have been there. And Flo has come in and taken the same guys, put them in different positions, doing different things, and these guys have been wildly successful. So I turned the film on and I watched him, and I think I'm going into the game, and it's just like, well, I know Flo. I played for him. I know exactly what he's doing, and it's not the same. There's mixtures of what he used to do, but a new flavor to it, and it's really working in Minnesota.
I love it. Vikings fans are loving it also. And one thing that they want to love is just the success that this offense can have going forward. Going into this week with Nick Mullins at quarterback, it'll be the 4th starting quarterback that the Minnesota Vikings have had this year, the first time ever in franchise history. You're just talking about what success for the defense looks like. But under a new quarterback, what does success for the offense look like for this Minnesota Vikings team?
I think you saw some of it, a glimpse of it with Nick Mullins, and it wasn't like he came in and lit the world on fire, and next thing you know, they put up 14 points and was able to win the game in that form or fashion. But I think the one thing you saw from him was he was getting the ball out on time, and as soon as he was hitting his back foot, for the most part, he knew exactly where to go with the ball. Some of the passes were a little bit off, and I think some of that has to do with timing, being in that position, preparing to be the starter each and every week. But when it comes to understanding the offense and being there and knowing exactly what Kevin O'Connell wants when he calls a play in, I think you saw that from Mullins as soon as he got in the game. And I think for them, a lot of that's going to have to do with handing the ball off. And I know Madison's gone down with an ankle injury, what his status is and where he's going to be by Saturday is still up in the air. But Ty Chandler, being able to get the ball and being ahead of the chains. And whenever we say that, instead of it being 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 12 because of a loss on first down, you're looking at 2nd and 5, 2nd and 6. And we saw some of the boots of him getting outside the pocket. Now, he doesn't have the running ability of a Josh Dobbs, but he's also not a stiff just standing in the pocket. He's mobile enough to move around. But I think him being able to get the ball out on time, make good decisions, is going to be success for them, and try to lean on that defense a little bit to cause some havoc.
You got a backup quarterback in Nick Mullins against another former Vikings backup quarterback in Jake Browning, who's been making some waves down there in Cincinnati this year. When you look at just this matchup between the Bengals and Vikings, what stands out to you?
I think you just talked about Jake Browning and what he's been able to do the last 2 weeks. Struggled a little bit against Pittsburgh, but these last two has really found a rhythm within that offense. The play action, going to the boots, getting the ball down the field, looking for Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I think you mix that, a combination of what Browning's been able to do with the stuff that Flores does with these guys on defense, of 6-7 guys lined up at the line of scrimmage, not knowing whether it's going to be an all-out pressure, a 3-man rush where everybody's dropping back in zone. I think a lot of the game's going to come down to how Browning handles that stuff. His communication with his line up front, being able to get them in the right protection, knowing to go exactly where to go with his eyes as soon as a ball is snapped. I think that's going to be a lot of it, because you've seen Flo fool a guy like Aiden O'Connell with his looks. But then you've also seen it against a veteran like Russell Wilson as well. So it's not just the young guys. He's been able to do a lot with these guys. And from Metellus on down, the IQ of the guys on defense, it just seems like they all just play spots. It's not positions. I think that's very hard to figure out sometime on the offensive side of the ball.
Hey, Jason, you talking like you love what you see with this Brian Flores defense. Like they can just plug and play you right now.
No, hey, he can plug me. I got the IQ. Now, once the ball snaps, Harrison Smith, Cam Bynum, those guys going to have to be deep over the top to help me out because I'm not covering anybody. Don't put me on Jamar Chase or T.
I love it. My last question for you. When it comes to Saturday games, the Vikings all-time are 20-10, 2-0 under Kevin O'Connell last year. When you look at this matchup, I'm going to start my sentence and I'm going to have you finish it. The Vikings win on Saturday if
the defense makes plays, creates turnovers, puts the offense and flips the field in position to score those points, short fields, and they're able to take advantage of that. The age-old term we always say, complementary football, winning in special teams with the field position. Seems super basic and easy to do, but when you have a backup quarterback, making it easy on him, I think goes a long way.
I love it. Well, 12 p.m. kickoff on Saturday at Paycor Stadium. Jason McCourty will be on that call along with Steve Weish. This is going to be a great game, kind of a playoff game. I know it's an AFC versus NFC team, but these are two teams that are looking to make that late playoff push in this December football edition of the NFL. Thank you, Jason. Looking forward to having you on the call.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Anytime.
Yes, sir.